All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is another video about our Lord and Savior China. We're going to try and harvest some social credit rating here, and I'm going to show you how to take control of the early game situations versus your opponent and force some decision making onto the more aggressive players instead of China always being in the defender's position. So this is going to be a fast castle rush into whatever tech you feel like, and I'll try to explain the differences and what you might do depending on what you scout from your opponent. So you're going to start off, you're going to put all your workers onto the sheep immediately, and we're going to go gather some other ones. And we're going to make one worker, and then we're going to make the Imperial Official. A lot of people will make the Imperial Official right away and go build a mill, but I really think that loses you a lot of income time. So I like to make the first worker build the mill. Our scout goes and searches for sheep, and we're not worried about running out of sheep. So we'll make one worker, and then we'll make the Imperial Official. And what happens is we are almost out of food on this sheep here. So we'll pull a couple of workers from this sheep and send them over to pre-slaughter our extra sheep while this guy finishes that. I pulled a little too many. I should have left a couple on this sheep because it has 70 on it still. But we're going to go to, I believe it's going to be 8 to 10 workers on food. We'll build our first house with the 9th worker that pops out. And then, yep, looks like we go to 8 on food, and then we rally a worker to the gold. You'll notice that we have no wood right now, which is going to be a problem when we're going to house in the future if we don't take care of that. So we put 1 on gold, and then our 11th worker goes and cuts one of the closest trees. This is another detail that I don't talk about a lot because it's kind of difficult and frustrating to deal with. But you see I have 0 tax gold on the mill right now. I was paying attention to when I could micromanage the Imperial Official to the highest benefit, which is when your workers aren't turning in workers. And I grabbed the 20 gold out of there and I returned it. So we're going to put the 1 worker on wood. And when we need a new house, this guy will have gotten us enough wood to build a new house. So then we get to 2 on our gold. And then we're going to rally back to our food. At least we should. Yes, okay. So we rally back to our food. Meanwhile, you don't have to worry too much about what your scout's doing. Just finding yourself some sheep. I'm doing some unnecessary micro here, killing the wolves. You don't have to do that unless you're playing against the Roos. So yeah, see, we did that again where we grabbed the 20 gold as quickly as we could, returned it to the base. So we have the 200 gold for the Barbican of the Sun right now, but we don't have enough food because we had too many workers queued up. But no big deal, right? And you'll notice we're getting closer to that point in time when we need a new house. But this guy, he's diligently working for us. Our 15th worker that comes out is going to go build our Barbican of the Sun wherever we need to. I'm going to pause here for a moment and talk about the positioning of the Barbican of the Sun. I'm versus the English right now. I haven't scouted him, but I'm versus the English. I know longbows are going to try and either deny my stone mining or deny my food. But I felt like my food was close enough to my town center now that I didn't need to build the Barbican here to defend it. So I built the Barbican to defend the gold instead, because we're doing a castle rush. So we want our gold income to never get interrupted for the rest of this game. An argument could be made for placing your Barbican like more in a forward position here, but we still don't know exactly where he's at. So if I put this like out here and then he ran through here, then it's not very useful. So most of the time it's best to just defend a position, like one position with it. China has the privilege of building their buildings 100% faster, so I only put 1 worker on the feudal age landmark. Another thing that a lot of people will do, which is silly, also big note, right? The guy here builds our Barbican, but we continue rallying to food. And we're gonna just micro this Imperial Official whenever we remember it. Don't worry too much about grabbing gold with the Imperial Official. Like, see here, I really wanted him to go back to the mill, but we messed up the order, and we're losing quite a bit of food income because he's not here boosting the mill. We might have had 10 or 12 turn-ins while he derped around and walked over here, and that's really bad. You're like, because the castle age is really dependent on your food income and not on your gold income. You're gonna have the gold when you need it, but you won't have the food. See, he just now reached feudal age, right? So I'm gonna reveal the map, and I'm gonna tell you, right? He finished his feudal age at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, which seems really early, but you think about the build time of a longbow, and it's 7 seconds, which isn't a long time, but he has to walk all the way across the map to attack you, which means I have more than enough time to finish this. So as long as you're finishing your first landmark, like around 5 minutes, your timing of it is okay. So you don't need to power build buildings as China. Power building is when you pull multiple workers to try and build the same building. So we've gotten our 12 on food, which is all we want to get for now. And then we get 6 on gold. Our Barbican guy is going to go become the 6th worker on gold. And then we really need wood. So we're going to start rallying to wood here. I'm going to go back to reveal only because we're scouting him now. So I see the longbow hall, and now is the important time to decide what tech you're going to use against your opponent when you get to castle age. Most of the time, longbows, archers, you think cavalry units, right? But the English really like to do spearmen, archer, ram all-ins, or they do archer, ram all-ins, and those are really tough to deal with. So I prefer going for the palace guard or the man-at-arms. So this can work with like every civ that you play. I do this fast castle thing with China specifically because you don't have access to an armored unit early in the game, which really sucks a lot. So rushing to castle gives you a more powerful armored unit than any other armored unit in the game. So I identified that he had the longbow thing. I identify that he has the blacksmith here. If we look at my camera, I was just there looking at the blacksmith, and that let me know, hey, he's probably doing a ram timing attack, because there's no way that you wouldn't be mining gold anymore, or that you would still be mining gold if you meant to just make longbows. He's mining gold so he can get these upgrades, and it's probably for either +1 attack and then siege engineering. But I'm working my way towards that castle age. We've got the 12 on food and the 6 on gold. It doesn't matter that much how you get to 12 on food and 6 on gold, but almost always I'll do 2 on gold until I have 12 on food, and then I'll go fill up the gold, because you just need less gold. You see here I'm going to be gated on gold for building the astronomical clock tower, which is going to be the age up building that we want to use. This was a really good timing for us though, and my scout has seen everything I need to know. We know he's going to do a longbow ram push, so I'm going to just make a barracks when I finish this clock tower. It's going to be a little later than we wanted it to because our food income was messed up from like some mismicroing of the official here, right? So we drop our astronomical clock tower. I want to make a note. There are timings. There's ways to do the opener that will get you the astronomical clock tower faster than this, but I tried really hard to focus on having enough wood to start a production structure right as we make this, so that our production structure, whatever it might be, the barracks or the stable or the archery range, whatever it might be, it's going to finish around the same time as our clock tower, and we're going to start building castle age units immediately. So I'm over here poking with my scout, trying to figure out what he's doing, and basically this is like me trying to get him to show me his units, and because he shows me nothing, I knew that he was on the way to my side of the map already. So he gives away that he's on the way, or it's not that he gave it away, it's just that I know that he's trying to come across the map because he didn't defend us. So we're going to start palace guards when we can. We're going to leave this guy to boost for a little bit longer because my food was crunched. Sometimes it's, like I said, with the Barbican, you not needing it to be finished super ultra fast. This game, I pulled a few too many workers to build the astronomical clock tower, and it gated me on food. So I'm only going to have enough food to start one unit when the clock tower finishes, and then I have to leave this guy here. So I knew I needed to keep boosting my food to be able to consistently produce units. So I left him here and I built a second barracks. If you manage your food better than I did here, you can just send the Imperial official over to this one barracks, and you can make a blacksmith right now instead of a second production structure, and just hard produce units out of one production structure because of the supervisability of the Imperial official. I'm going to go put him on it eventually, but we have to wait a bit because I'm gated by the food so hard. Like, you can tell that my food income is really, really pinched right now. And I know he's coming to attack, so we're going to just mass palace guards. We know it's a ram attack timing. We know that he's out somewhere. It doesn't really matter where he's at, right? And so this is like 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So he's a little bit late. He's a little bit late. But you're going to see the power of the Castle Age unit versus Feudal Age units in this interaction. Because usually China is the one dealing with Castle Age units while they're in Feudal Age, aka like the French Royal Knight is running in your base and killing your workers when all you can possibly have access to is feudal units. So now the shoe's on the other foot for the other player, and that's why I really like this build order a lot. So I was afraid right here that he was going to kill my houses and I was going to not be able to produce units. So I pull all of my workers right now to attack the ram, and I send the palace guard to attack the archers. All right. And this is like the specific scenario of this. It's hard for me to like explain to you how it would go if I was playing stables instead. Oh, I wish they would stop yelling. If you're playing stables instead, this interaction is going to be the same. You're just going to have like one or two less palace. You're going to have one or two less units in general if you went for the cavalry units instead of the palace guards. But the strength of going the palace guards versus English is that his transition to like a barracks, if he was on top of that, like, see, he has 350 wood. He could have a barracks pushed up farther here or like by his thing, and he could be rallying spearmen towards me. Like, if we imagine like 6 or 7 spearmen with this army, horses would get run over. I would get crushed if I had horses. So I went palace guard because I was afraid he would be a better player, essentially. This is just like crazy, right? Like, look at how little damage these guys take. Does he hit the focus fire? You see, this is why I didn't like it that I pulled my workers, because I didn't need to pull my workers here. This was just not impactful, right? I just lose like 6 workers for no reason. But we chase him back to his base, and we're just constantly producing more barracks units. This did remove all of my woodworking, but my gold and my food income are not being disturbed right now. And we just chase him back across the map. And the plan from here is to just abuse him for not having a counter to an armored unit because his age up is incredibly late. You see, he's making 3 barracks right now so that he can make man-at-arms. But his men-at-arms are the early ones, the feudal man-at-arms. And they're significantly worse than mine. They're going to have 20 less HP and 1 less of each armor and 2 less damage. So this is important, right? We want to just... I'm being a little too inactive here. I was a little afraid that I might be running into like a mass of archers that I couldn't deal with. But we totally could have dealt with this. When I started pushing him back here, I told workers to go build on my hunt because I have map control right now. It's important that you don't try to go take your hunt too early. Because if you go take this hunt too early, before you're the one that has map control, they're gonna come and deny your hunt to you if they're like a cavalry-based civ. So always try and like wait on your hunt until you've got the map control and you're out on the map and you're doing something with your units. I'm going to try and split my army here. We see that I split my army here a little bit. Oh, these were the sheep that he tried to walk all the way across the map. That's pretty funny. I'm gonna let the rest of the game play out from this point. The only really solid part of the build order for me at this point is getting the palace guards or the lancers or the crossbows, and then getting a blacksmith. Those are like the very clear parts of the build order. You rush to Castle Age, you get an armored unit, or you get crossbows, and then you get a blacksmith, and you just overpower your opponent with units that are significantly better than theirs. So what I'm going to do is these guys are going to stay here, and we're going to rally up a bunch more of these palace guards, and we're going to run in and smack on his attack on his workers. I'm not sure what caused me to wait for so long, but the moment that I had chased his archers back to his side of the map, I should have just been going in again. These units lose value really quickly when you're playing like this because your opponent gets upgrades and they start to tech. He was stuck and couldn't tech, so he's in a really bad spot right now because look, he's trying to mine so much gold right now, and he's been denied the hunt in the front of this base, and we come deny more food for him. And this is just when it really becomes super difficult for the enemy player to do anything, because he has these man-at-arms, and they have the network of castles, but these ranged units really just can't hurt my palace guards. He just cannot hurt the palace. Like, look at his town center with 20 dudes in it is shooting at my palace guards and nothing's going on, right? And he has 20 idle workers, so his income per minute is like destroyed right now comparatively. I started building a couple of farms, but I really would suggest that you try to go get your second hunt before you start building farms, or you're gonna wood starve super badly like I am. You can definitely do a ram all-in with these units, but I prefer to not do a ram all-in with the units that I'm getting, because it can just be like a way to lose the game if you're not super far ahead. And I knew that I wasn't super far ahead. Like, if we look at my military count, it's 22. And if we look at his military count, it's 23. So we don't really have like a super hard advantage in military right now. This is important. We're leaving some units to fight the man-at-arms here, and we're running our other palace guards forward to chase the archers. And then we have our secondary group of palace guards. This is not like a required way of playing. Like, splitting your opponent's attention, I wouldn't require you to do this if you're a more casual player. But if you're really trying to, like, absolutely crush your opponent, splitting your units into two groups like this and splitting their attention really ruins most players. Because if we watch this guy's camera, he can't look at both things at once, right? And my units are just A-move units, no micro required for these palace guards. So I noticed that he's looking this way, so I bring these guys back in. Like, we know that he's worried about those on his farms, so we bring these back in. I think the best transition from the fast castle is the Song Dynasty and not a second town center. I think a second town center costs too many resources when you're playing like this. So you almost always want to go for Song Dynasty and not a second town center when you're playing like this. You will have to pull too many workers from your food to get the stone and the wood, and you won't be able to afford consistently building units. These trades are going great for me, though. If we look at the units lost, he's lost twice as much as I have. I've killed 2 of his buildings. I'm pretty sure my upgrades are getting pretty far ahead of his. Yes, he has +1 armor, but his man-at-arms have 35 less HP than me. I didn't know that the HP difference was 35 between an early and a Castle Age. That's pretty huge. But yeah, with our 13-second worker build time, that's almost as efficient as 2 town centers. A 35-second worker build time is almost as efficient as 2 town centers. So I prefer going for the Song Dynasty because it costs you less and you aren't as overextended. I'm doing the worst thing ever with my wood mining here. Always make a new wood camp as quickly as possible. I'm getting more and more like bold with my movement of the units, just diving on top of his army here, like, and his town center. But I really feel super comfortable. We're ahead 1,000 points. He's still lost twice as many units as I have. I find that it's pretty difficult to add the economy upgrades. If you'll notice, the only economy upgrades that I have are wheelbarrow and the hunt for the increased deer gathering. So it is kind of difficult to fit in those upgrades when you're playing like this, because most of your gold is going to be spent on your units and your actual blacksmith upgrades. But if you feel like you can afford those resource upgrades, like mainly the broadaxe and forestry, these are like your most important upgrades for gathering of resources. Horticulture and the specialized pick are good, but I feel like they have a very delayed payoff effect. Oh, look, I have 5 pierce armor now, and he's only doing 7 damage. His archers are doing 2 damage a hit to me. He does have a lot of them, so they are eventually going to start killing these units, but you can see how it's just, like, so difficult for a player who is planning to do a feudal age attack. It's very difficult for him to transition to a castle age like I did, because I just keep coming in here like this, back and forth. And he just can't handle it. I'm at 55 workers now, and he's at 30. But yeah, I really like this style of play. I've seen a couple of other people do this kind of thing, but it doesn't seem like anybody has like a really hard game plan for it. But I've been shaping and molding this pretty hard. My economy management is terrible, so please don't take after me and my terrible economy management. Please try a little bit harder than I do to like manage your economy better. Because you can see I'm floating 1,000 wood and no food and gold, because I'm just spending too much money on these units. I've got my full attack upgrades and my full defense upgrades, so we're feeling really good. And he reached the castle age, so the reason I really go hard here and I just all in is because we know when he hits castle age that he wants to get this upgrade to his man-at-arms. Did he just start it? I think he just started it, right? Where is he not getting it? He needs to be getting this, right? Like, this is the upgrade that will even the playing field for him with the man-at-arms. I guess he has no gold. What's going on? Oh, he has 0 gold. Ah, yes, okay. So I was worried that he was going to get this upgrade and be able to fight efficiently versus me. So I was like, it's go time, you know? Like, it's time to die. And I got the ram upgrade quite late. But yeah, that's kind of how I envision like the best case scenario for this going, is you make the palace guards, you smash the early game aggression, and then you go and you constantly kill workers, and there's not a lot they can do about it unless they were playing a heavy tech build themselves, which you can scout. So if you scout that your opponent isn't going to be aggressive, you would slap down the Song Dynasty instead of making units, and it would help you accelerate your economy more quickly than they can manage. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you. Please hit the like and subscribe button. This is the Mighty Hupsaiya, signing off.